An incredible story of widows offering to temple that marveled Jesus in the heart of Jerusalem. The great temple in Jerusalem stood like a crown above the city, its towering walls glistening in the warm afternoon sun. Within its courtyard, the air was alive with sound, the shuffle of sandals on stone, the murmur of prayers, the cries of merchants calling out to passers-by. Pilgrims from every corner of the land gathered here, their hearts eager to honor God. Through the gates entered the wealthy, their robes rich with color, trimmed with gold. Servants followed, carrying heavy bags filled with silver and treasure. With loud voices and proud gestures, they poured their coins into the chests. The clatter of metal rang out like thunder, echoing off the temple walls. The crowd turned to watch, some whispering in admiration at such displays of wealth. Not far away, beneath the shade of the temple pillars, Jesus sat with his disciples. Their eyes followed the rich men as they gave, marveling at the sound of so much wealth. But Jesus watched with a different gaze. His eyes were not fixed on the size of the gifts, but on the hearts behind them. Quietly, he waited, knowing a greater lesson was about to unfold. And then, almost unnoticed, a figure entered through the crowd. An elderly widow, dressed in a simple, worn robe, stepped slowly across the courtyard. Her back was bent with age, her hands thin and trembling. In her pouch, she carried almost nothing, 2 small copper coins, all she had left to live on. No one turned to see her. No one whispered in awe. She was invisible among the multitude, yet she carried in her hand a gift far greater than the world could measure. With quiet steps, she drew near to the treasury. The towering bronze chest loomed before her, the shine of gold and silver already overflowing within. She reached into her pouch and drew out the 2 coins. They gleamed faintly in the sunlight, so small they seemed almost weightless. Her fingers trembled, not from fear, but from the sacrifice she was about to make. This was not just money, it was her food, her shelter, her very life. And still, she chose to give it all to God.
Such devotion.
Jesus rose to his feet, calling his disciples closer. His voice carried both authority and tenderness as he said, "Truly I tell you, this poor widow has given more than all the others." The disciples looked at him, surprised. They had seen gold overflowing into the chests, yet Jesus was pointing to a woman whose hands had been empty moments ago. His words pierced the noise of the courtyard like a flame. He explained, "The rich gave out of their abundance, but she gave out of her poverty. She has given all she had to live on." His disciples listened, their faces shifting from confusion to awe. For the first time, they understood that God's measure of generosity was not in riches, but in sacrifice. The truth struck their hearts, more powerful than the sound of all the gold that had been poured into the chests. The wealthy left proudly, heads high, their wealth still overflowing. Yet in the eyes of heaven, it was the woman who had given the most. Her offering was not measured by its size, but by the love and trust it carried. She left with nothing in her hands, but everything in her heart. Beside the piles of gold and silver inside the chest, 2 tiny copper coins rested almost unseen. Yet to God, they gleamed brighter than all the treasure combined. For in those coins was the heartbeat of true faith. Jesus looked toward them, then back at his disciples, and the message was clear. God values the heart of the giver more than the weight of the gift. The courtyard soon returned to its usual rhythm. Merchants shouted, children laughed, priests moved about their duties. But in that moment, something eternal had taken place. The gift of a poor widow, unnoticed by men, had been recorded in heaven. Generations would remember her, not for her wealth, but for her faith. Jesus sat once again. His disciples gathered close, their hearts stirred by what they had witnessed. The setting sun cast long shadows across the temple stones, its golden light bathing the courtyard. His words lingered in the silence, that true generosity is not measured by what we keep, but by what we surrender to God.